Director Kim stood at the large window of his office, looking at the busy city below. The buildings seemed simple from the outside, but hidden under them were machines far more advanced than anyone outside Earth knew about. "The signal is getting stronger, Director," said Sue, walking into the room with a tablet. "The alien ship will reach our solar system in 3 days." Kim nodded. For over 100 years, humans had been hiding their true progress. They had spaceships that could travel between stars. They had machines that could make anything from simple code. They had weapons that could destroy planets. But no one in space knew this. "Is the Global Masquerade Initiative ready?" Kim asked. "Yes. All advanced tech is hidden. Our cities look like they should for a Type 0 civilization. Space satellites show only what we want aliens to see." Kim smiled. The plan had worked for many years. Earth watched other worlds and learned. They saw how advanced aliens often took over worlds with less technology, how they would steal resources and sometimes even people. Earth would not let this happen. "Call the council together," Kim ordered. "It's time for the final check." 2 hours later, Kim sat at the round table with Earth's leaders. General Han from the military sat with a straight back, his face showing no feeling. Next to him, Ambassador Ju practiced looking confused while holding an alien translation device. "Remember," said Kim, "we must seem amazed by their technology. Act like their simple travel methods are magic to us." "My soldiers are ready," said General Han. "They will use old guns and act surprised by alien weapons. But our real forces are waiting, hidden across the solar system." Ju nodded. "I've practiced looking excited about technology we stopped using 300 years ago." The door opened, and Admiral Park walked in, her steps quick and sure. "The alien ship has changed course. They will arrive tomorrow, not in 3 days." The room went quiet. "Are we ready?" Kim asked, looking at each person. "The fake United Nations building is set up," said Ju. "It looks just like what a young civilization would use for important meetings." "My hidden ships are in place," said Admiral Park. "They can't be seen, but they watch everything." Scientist Sue tapped on her tablet. "We've made sure our internet shows the right level of technology. If they look at our networks, they'll see what seems right for our development stage." "And the underground cities?" Kim asked. "Sealed and hidden," General Han answered. 90% of our true technology is out of sight. The rest has been made to look much simpler than it is." Kim stood up. "For 200 years, we've watched the stars. We've learned how larger civilizations treat smaller ones. We've seen worlds destroyed and people taken as slaves. Earth will not be one of them." He looked at each leader in turn. "Tomorrow, we act like we're seeing aliens for the first time. We act amazed, confused, even a little scared. We let them think they're far above us." Admiral Park smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "And if they try anything, they'll learn just how wrong they are." Kim nodded. "The greatest trick humanity ever played was pretending to be weak. Let's make sure it works one more time." Outside, the city lights glowed as night fell. Regular people walked the streets, not knowing that tomorrow, aliens would land on Earth, not knowing that for generations, their leaders had been preparing for this day. The day humanity would meet the stars, on their own terms. The alien ship hung in the sky above Earth like a giant silver leaf. People pointed up and took pictures with their phones. News teams set up cameras. The world watched and waited. But Sue wasn't with the crowds. She sat in a small room with 5 screens, each showing a different view of the landing area. Her job was simple: watch the aliens and report back to Director Kim. "They're scanning our atmosphere," she said into her earpiece, "just as we expected." "Keep watching," Kim's voice replied. "Tell me everything they do." High above Earth, Admiral Park sat in her real command chair, not the fake one they had built for show. Her ship was invisible to the alien scans. 20 more ships just like hers waited nearby, also hidden. "They're sending down a smaller ship," Park reported. One transport vessel looks like it holds about 20 beings. On the ground, General Han checked his soldiers one last time. They wore simple uniforms with cloth and buttons. Their guns were made to look like they used bullets, not energy beams. "Remember," he told them, "act impressed. Act a little scared. Do not show that you know more than they think." Ambassador Zhu stood at the landing pad with Earth's fake leaders. The wind from the alien ship blew their hair and clothes as it came down. When the door opened, the aliens walked out one by one. They looked almost like tall, thin humans, but with purple-gray skin and large eyes. They wore shiny suits that seemed to move like water. The lead alien stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Cruel of the Talic Confederation. We come in peace to welcome Earth to the galactic community." Zhu stepped forward too, pretending to be nervous. "Welcome to Earth. I am Ambassador Zhu. We are very excited to meet beings from another world." Cruel smiled, showing teeth that looked too sharp. "Your world has reached the development stage where contact is permitted. We have been watching your signals for some time." In her hidden room, Sue narrowed her eyes. "They're scanning our technology levels," she whispered to Kim. "And they got weapons hidden in those suits." Kim's voice was calm in her ear. "As expected, keep watching." Later that day, the Talic delegation sat in the fake United Nations building. They showed videos of their worlds and ships. The human leaders acted amazed and clapped at things Earth had mastered centuries ago. "We can offer your world much," Cruel said. "Better medicine, faster travel, cleaner energy." "That would be wonderful," Zhu said, looking excited. A female Talic named Miri stepped forward with a small silver box. "This simple device can clean your water better than any method you have." Zhu took it carefully, pretending it was something special. The truth was, Earth had water cleaning systems 1,000 times better hidden under the oceans. From her observation post, Sue saw something the others missed. When Cruel thought no one was looking, he took out a small device and scanned the room. Then he sent a message to his ship. "Director," Sue said urgently, "they're mapping our building structure. And I think they just sent our planet's mineral readings to their main ship." In his office, Kim frowned. "So they're not just here for friendly contact?" "No, sir," Sue replied. "Based on these scans, I think they're looking for something specific." Kim looked out his window at the alien ship visible in the sky. "Keep watching. Let's see what the Talic Confederation really wants from Earth." In her hidden ship, Admiral Park received the same information. She quietly moved 2 of her cloaked vessels closer to the alien mothership. "Just in case," she whispered to herself. The show had begun, but it seemed the aliens were putting on a performance of their own. The big meeting room was full of people and aliens. Earth's fake leaders sat on one side of the table. The Talic sat on the other side. Large screens on the walls showed the meeting to people all over the world. Ambassador Zhu picked up the translation device the aliens had given him. He turned it over in his hands, pretending to be confused by it. Then he pressed the wrong button on purpose. "Sorry," he said with a shy smile. "This is all very new to us." Ambassador Cruel made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Of course. Your species is very young. You have much to learn." Sue watched from her hidden room. She could see how the Talic looked at each other when humans made mistakes. They seemed pleased, like adults watching children try to use tools. "They think we're simple," she told Director Kim through her earpiece. "The plan is working." Cruel stood up and walked to the front of the room. He waved his hand, and a 3D map of the galaxy appeared in the air. "This is your place in our galaxy," he said, pointing to a small dot far from the center. "The Talic Confederation includes over 200 worlds in this area." He moved his hand to show a large section of stars. The human leaders gasped and clapped as they were supposed to. In truth, Earth ships had mapped most of these worlds years ago. "We would like to offer Earth a special status," Cruel continued. "We call it Uplift. We will share some of our knowledge with you and help you join galactic society. A female Talic named Miri stepped forward holding a small box. This contains the plans for a new energy source. It's simple enough for your scientists to understand with some help. Ju took the box with wide eyes. Thank you. This is amazing. Inside, he wanted to laugh. The energy system they offered was one Earth had moved past 3 centuries ago. Later that day, the Talic showed the humans their ship. It was large and silver with smooth walls and glowing panels. The human leaders acted very impressed. This ship can travel between stars in just weeks, Cruel said proudly. General Han made his eyes go wide. Weeks? That's incredible. He didn't mention that Earth ships could do the same trip in days. A young Talic named Grell showed them the ship's control room. These systems are far too complex for you to understand now, he said. But someday with our help, you might have something like this. Han nodded and looked amazed. He could have built a better system as a school project when he was young. That night, the humans met in secret below the fake UN building. Director Kim looked at reports on his real tablet, not the simple one they showed the aliens. What have we learned? He asked. Admiral Park spoke first. Their ships are armed with weapons they haven't shown us. They have more ships waiting beyond our moon. They scanned our planet thoroughly, Sue added. They spent extra time looking at our mineral deposits, especially rare earth metals. Ju frowned. They keep talking about this uplift program, but they're careful not to explain exactly what it means for us. Kim looked at each of them. They're hiding something, just as we are. Should we keep pretending? Asked Ju. Kim nodded slowly. Yes, but we need to learn more about their real plans. Sue, I want you to join the welcome team tomorrow. Get closer to them. What about their hidden ships? Asked Park. Keep our fleet ready, Kim said, but stay hidden. For now, the game continues. Outside, the alien ship glowed in the night sky. Inside it, the Talic were making plans of their own. Sue walked with the Talic group through the research center. This building was part of the show too. It had old computers and simple labs that made Earth look less advanced than it was. Your science is developing, said Miri, the female Talic scientist. She tried to sound nice, but Sue could hear the pride in her voice. We try our best, Sue said with a humble smile. I'd love to learn more about your research methods. While they talked, Sue wore a special pin on her jacket. It looked like a normal flower, but it recorded everything the aliens said and did. Miri showed Sue a small round device. This can scan any material and tell you what it's made of. I'm sure it seems very advanced to you. Sue took it carefully and looked confused on purpose. Earth had better scanners in children's toys. In another part of the building, Technician Dai was showing other Talic visitors the Earth's fake energy plant. This is how we make most of our power, he said, pointing to machines that burned coal. These plants hadn't been used in real life for over 100 years. A Talic named Grell looked bored. This is so dirty and slow. On our worlds, we haven't used such methods for thousands of years. Really? That sounds amazing, Dai said, trying to look impressed. Then something bad happened. Dai's real communicator, hidden in his pocket, started to glow. It was an advanced device that no human was supposed to have yet. Grell's eyes widened. What is that light? Dai felt panic rise in his chest. He had to think fast. Oh, that's just my health monitor. Many humans have bad health problems. This tells me when to take medicine. Grell stared at him for a long moment. May I see it? It's very personal, Dai said, and it's attached to my skin. Doctor's orders. Grell seemed unsure but nodded slowly. Very well. As soon as the Talic turned away, Dai sent an urgent message to Director Kim about the close call. In her hidden room, Sue reviewed what her pin had recorded. She saw something no one else had noticed. When the Talic thought humans weren't watching, they took small samples of everything: water, soil, even the air. But worse, she found a recording of Cruel talking to his ship. "The planet is rich in resources we need," Cruel had said when alone. "Their technology level makes them perfect for Phase 3. They will believe anything we tell them." "What is Phase 3? She whispered to herself. Sue searched through old space reports until she found something important. 3 other worlds have been visited by the Talic in the past 50 years. All 3 have been classified as developing planets. All 3 were now mining colonies where the local people worked for the Talic. "Director Kim needs to see this," she said, sending the files right away. Director Kim sat with General Han, looking at Sue's report. "So the Uplift program is really just a way to take our resources," Han said, his face hard with anger. Kim nodded. "It seems the Talic find planets just advanced enough to be useful, but not advanced enough to fight back. They offer fake help while taking control. They picked the wrong planet this time," Han said. "Yes, but we must be careful," Kim replied. "If we show our true power too soon, we might start a war we don't want." Han stood up and looked out the window at the alien ship. "How long do we keep playing this game?" "Just a little longer," Kim said. "I've asked Admiral Park to move more ships into position, and I've sent Da to plant special devices on the Talic ship. We need to know exactly what they're planning. And if they try to take our world?" Han asked. Kim's face grew serious. "Then they learn that humans are not the simple children they think we are." On the 5th day of the Talic visit, Ambassador Cruel made an announcement. "To help Earth join the galactic community, we will place monitoring satellites around your planet," he said. "These will help us understand your world better." Ju tried to look grateful, but inside he felt worried. "Thank you for your generosity. Do we need to do anything to help?" "No," Cruel said with a smile that showed too many teeth. "We will handle everything. The satellites will go up today." As soon as the meeting ended, Ju sent an urgent message to Director Kim. In the command center deep under the fake UN building, Earth's real leaders gathered quickly. "They didn't ask permission," General Han said, hitting the table with his fist. "They're testing us, seeing what they can get away with." Admiral Park's face appeared on the big screen. She was on her hidden ship above Earth. "The satellites they're sending up are not just for watching," she reported. "They have weapons." Director Kim stood silent for a moment. Then he said, "Let them put up their satellites. But Park, have your ships ready to disable them if needed." "This charade has gone on long enough," Han argued. "They're clearly planning something. We should show our strength now." "Not yet," Kim said firmly. "We need to be sure of their full plan first." While the humans talked, Grell and another Talic named Vor walked through the research center. They watched Dodd work on a simple computer. "Something isn't right," Grell whispered to Vor. "Their technology seems uneven. Some things are very basic, but others have designs that don't make sense for their development level." Vor nodded. "I've noticed too. And their leaders ask strange questions, sometimes too simple, sometimes too smart." "Should we tell Cruel?" Grell asked. "Yes. He needs to know these humans might not be what they seem." That evening, Sue sat in a meeting room with Miri and other Talic scientists. They showed pictures of other worlds that had joined the Talic Confederation. "This is Nivis," Miri said, pointing to a planet covered in mines. "They were at your technology level when we found them. Now they help supply minerals to many worlds." Sue looked closely at the picture. The people of Nivis looked thin and tired as they worked in the mines. "Are they happy with this arrangement?" Sue asked carefully. Mary's expression changed for just a second. "They are grateful for our guidance. Progress requires sacrifice." When Sue left the meeting, she went straight to Director Kim's office. "They're definitely planning to use Earth for mining," she reported. "And the people on the other worlds they've helped look more like slaves than partners." Kim's face grew dark. "I've seen enough. It's time to prepare for the next phase." Late that night, the emergency alarm woke Kim from sleep. He rushed to the command center where Admiral Park was already on the screen. "The Talic satellites have started scanning our military bases," she reported. "They're mapping our defenses and weapons." "Have they found anything real?" Kim asked. "No, they're only seeing what we want them to see. Outdated weapons and small armies." Park paused. "But sir, there's more. 3 large Talic ships just entered our solar system. They're not responding to their own ambassadors' calls." General Han looked grim. "They're not waiting for diplomacy to finish. They're preparing to take what they want." Kim looked at each leader in turn. "It seems the Talic have made their intentions clear. Han, put our forces on high alert, but keep them hidden. Ju, maintain the act for 1 more day." "And then?" Ju asked. "And then," Kim said with a cold smile, "we show the Talic what humans are really capable of." The main meeting room was full of humans and Talic. Today, the aliens were going to show a new energy device that could help Earth move forward. At least, that's what they said. Engineer Min stood near the back wall. He had special orders from Director Kim. Today, things would change. Ambassador Cruel stood at the front of the room with a shiny metal box. "This simple generator can power one of your small cities," he said proudly. "We offer it as a gift." "Thank you," said Ambassador Ju, bowing slightly. "May we see how it works?" Cruel nodded and opened the box. Inside was a glowing blue ball. "This core creates clean energy. Your scientists can study it, but please don't touch it directly." Min stepped forward, looking excited and nervous as he had been told to act. "This is amazing. Can I see it closer?" The Talic looked at each other. This wasn't planned. But Min was already walking to the front of the room. "Be careful," warned Miri. "Your technology level makes this dangerous for you to handle." Min pretended not to hear. He leaned over the device with wide eyes. Then, following his secret orders, he accidentally bumped the table. The blue ball rolled out of its holder. Instantly, alarms went off in the device. "No," shouted Cruel, jumping forward. He pressed a button on his wrist. Suddenly, a force field appeared around the blue ball. At the same time, hidden weapons came out of the Talic suits, pointing at the humans. The room went silent. The Talic had shown their hidden defenses, just as Director Kim had planned. In the silence, a young Talic security guard named Lur panicked. He thought the humans had tried to steal the energy core. His weapon fired. The energy blast hit the wall near where General Han was standing. People screamed and dropped to the floor. "Cease fire," Cruel shouted, but it was too late. Han touched his wrist where his real communicator was hidden. "Defensive Protocol Alpha," he said clearly. Before the Talic could react, panels in the ceiling opened. Silver robots dropped into the room. They created a shield between the humans and aliens. Cruel stared in shock. "What is this? This technology is beyond your level." Han stood tall now, no longer pretending to be impressed by the Talic. "You should have done better research before trying to trick us." Outside the building, more chaos erupted. The Talic ships in orbit had detected the energy weapons being used inside. They started to power up their main guns. But Admiral Park was ready. Her hidden ships suddenly appeared around the Talic vessels. "Talic vessels," she broadcast on all channels, "you are surrounded by Earth Defense Forces. Power down your weapons immediately." In the command center, Director Kim watched everything on the screens. "Send the signal," he ordered. All across Earth, the fake buildings and old technology began to change. Hidden doors opened in the ground. Advanced defense systems rose into view. The simple-looking satellites in orbit revealed their true forms, powerful weapons platforms. Back in the meeting room, Ju faced Cruel with a new, confident look. "You came to Earth thinking we were simple and weak," Ju said. "You planned to take our resources and use our people, just like you did on Navis and other worlds." "This is impossible," Cruel whispered. "Our scans showed primitive technology." "We showed you what we wanted you to see," Min said, no longer playing the excited engineer. Humans have been watching the stars for centuries. We saw how you treat primitive worlds. Cruel's communicator beeped urgently. The voice of his ship's captain came through. Ambassador, we're surrounded by advanced Earth vessels. They weren't there a minute ago. Outside, people looked up as the sky seemed to ripple. Hundreds of human ships appeared, having dropped their cloaking shields. The charade was over. Earth had shown its true face, and the Talic were not ready for what they saw. Ambassador Cruel stood frozen as he watched Earth change before his eyes. The simple buildings began to transform. Metal panels slid away to show shiny walls underneath. Lights that had been dim now glowed with bright, clean energy. "What is happening?" he asked, his voice shaking. Director Kim walked into the room. He was wearing a new uniform now, not the simple clothes from before. It was black with silver lines that seemed to move like water. "Welcome to the real Earth, Ambassador," Kim said. His voice was calm but strong. "What you're seeing now is who we really are." Through the big windows, they could see the city changing. Buildings grew taller as hidden parts rose up. Cars that had used wheels now floated above the ground. The fake coal power plant split open to show a clean fusion core. "Impossible," whispered Miri. Our scans showed what we wanted them to see," Sue said, stepping forward. She was no longer pretending to be an assistant. Earth has been watching the stars for over 300 years. Admiral Park's face appeared on a screen that came out of the wall. "All Talic ships are contained, Director. Their weapons are locked by our systems." Kim nodded. "Thank you, Admiral." Cruel looked back and forth between them. Why? Why pretend to be primitive? Kim's face grew serious. "We've seen how the Talic Confederation treats worlds they think are less advanced. We've watched you turn free people into workers for your mines. We've seen you take resources from planets that couldn't fight back." "That's not," Cruel started to say. "Don't lie." Sue cut in. "I have recordings of your private messages. You called Earth perfect for Phase 3. You planned to take our resources from the start." General Han stepped closer, his eyes hard. "We wanted to see your true intentions before we showed ourselves. Now we know what kind of neighbors you really are." Outside, more changes were happening. The ground opened in many places. Giant metal towers rose up, covered in blinking lights. In orbit, hundreds of human ships appeared around Earth like a shield. Inside the meeting room, Ju turned on a new screen. It showed maps of space far beyond Earth. "These are our colonies," Ju explained. "Humans have settled 12 star systems. We have mining stations on 40 asteroids. We have research bases on 30 planets." The Talic stared at the maps with wide eyes and open mouths. "But how did we not know?" asked Miri. "Because we didn't want you to know," Kim answered simply. "Your ships pass through our territory often, but they only see empty space because that's what we show them." Min brought out a small device and put it on the table. It projected a 3D image of a ship much bigger than any the Talic had. "This is why we stayed hidden," he explained. "Every time we found another space civilization, they were fighting over territory and resources, taking from weaker worlds. We decided it was safer to watch and learn before showing ourselves." Cruel seemed to shrink as he looked at the human technology all around him. What will you do with us now?" Kim looked at the alien for a long moment. "That depends on what happens next," he said finally. "We don't want war, Ambassador. We never did. But we will not be treated as a primitive world to be used and controlled. My leaders will not accept this," Cruel said, his voice low. "Then they will learn what humans are truly capable of," General Han replied. Kim held up his hand for silence. "It's time for real talks between equals, Ambassador. No more lies from either side. Are you ready for that?" Before Cruel could answer, alarms started to sound. Admiral Park's face appeared on the screen again, this time looking worried. "Director," she said urgently, The 3 Talic battleships we detected earlier have just activated their weapons. They're heading straight for Earth. The command center was filled with activity. Director Kim, General Han, and the other leaders watched the big screens. 3 large Talic ships were moving toward Earth. Their weapons were hot and ready to fire. "They're not responding to our messages," Admiral Park reported from her ship. "They've blocked all communication channels." Kim turned to Cruel. "Tell your ships to stand down. Now." Cruel looked nervous. I can't. Those ships are under high command control. They don't answer to me." "You planned this," Han accused. "The diplomatic mission was just a front while your real forces got into position." "No, I didn't know they would come," Cruel insisted. "But High Command must have decided your world was too valuable to risk losing if negotiations failed." Sue studied the incoming ships on her screen. "Their weapons are powerful, but old-fashioned. Our shields can handle them." Kim nodded. "Admiral Park, deploy Phase 2 defenses. Show them enough to make them think twice, but hold our main fleet back." On the screens, they watched as 50 human ships moved to meet the 3 Talic vessels. The human ships were smaller but faster. The lead Talic battleship fired first. A beam of red energy shot toward Earth. Before it got far, a silver wall appeared in space, a human energy shield that covered the whole planet. The beam hit the shield and spread out like water, doing no damage. The Talic in the room gasped. Miri whispered, "That shield technology is beyond anything in the Confederation." "We know," Min said simply. The human ships moved quickly, surrounding each Talic vessel. Blue lights shot out, connecting to the alien ship's engines. The Talic ships suddenly stopped moving. "Tractor beams," Admiral Park explained through the screen. "They can't move now." Cruel's communicator beeped. The voice of a Talic commander came through, sounding angry and confused. "Our engines are locked. The humans have technology that isn't possible for their development stage." "That's what I've been trying to tell you," Cruel replied, looking at the humans around him. They'd been hiding their true capabilities. News of the space battle spread quickly through the Talic Confederation. In their home system, leaders argued with each other. "Earth must be destroyed before they become a threat," shouted War Chief Draz, pounding his fist on the table. "No, we should make them allies before someone else does," countered Trade Minister Lox. "Their technology could help us greatly." The Talic Supreme Leader sat quietly, watching the battle reports with narrow eyes. "Send the main fleet," he finally ordered. "We must know exactly what we're dealing with." Back on Earth, Ambassador Ju received messages from other alien civilizations. Word was spreading fast about the humans' deception and power. "The Ventari Alignment wants to open direct talks," Ju told Kim. "So do the Aza Collective and the Rin Empire. They all thought we were primitive too." "The whole galaxy is watching now," Kim said. "This is exactly what we wanted to avoid." General Han disagreed. "They would have discovered us eventually. Better to show our strength now than be caught unprepared later." A new alarm sounded. Admiral Park's face showed concern. "Director, long-range sensors have detected a large Talic fleet entering our solar system. At least 50 ships, maybe more." The room went quiet. Then Kim turned to Cruel. "Ambassador, you have a choice to make. Help us find a peaceful solution, or watch your fleet learn a hard lesson about human capabilities." Cruel looked at the screen showing his 3 disabled battleships. He seemed to be thinking hard. "If I help you," he said slowly, "what guarantees do I have that you won't destroy our ships anyway?" "Because unlike the Talic," Kim replied, "when humans make a promise between equals, we keep it." Han leaned close to Kim and whispered, "Can we really stop 50 Talic ships?" Kim smiled slightly. "They haven't even seen our real fleet yet." The large Talic fleet moved deeper into the solar system, 50 warships in a tight formation, heading straight for Earth. Their weapons were powered up and ready. In the command center, Director Kim watched calmly. "It's time," he said to Admiral Park on the screen. "Show them our full strength." Park nodded and pressed a button on her control panel. Suddenly, the space around the Talic fleet rippled. Where there had been empty space before, now hundreds of human ships appeared. They had been there all along, hidden by advanced cloaking technology. The human ships formed a sphere around the Talic fleet, trapping them completely. "Send the message," Kim ordered. On the lead Talic ship, Fleet Commander Vax received the transmission. The 3D image of General Han appeared before him. "Talic Fleet," Han said, his voice firm but not angry. "You are surrounded by the Earth Defense Force. Your weapons cannot harm our ships. Your engines can be disabled at any moment. We do not wish to destroy you, but we will defend our world." Vax looked at the sensor readings in shock. The human fleet was at least 3 times larger than his own, and their technology readings were off the charts. "This can't be real," he whispered. "Earth was supposed to be primitive." His second-in-command looked equally shocked. "Sir, what do we do?" Vax thought for a long moment. Then he said, "Open a channel to their leader." In the command center, Kim received the Talic commander's call. "This is Director Kim of Earth," he said. "Are you ready to talk peace, Commander?" The Talic's face showed a mix of fear and confusion. "How is this possible? Our reports said your people had just discovered simple spaceflight." Kim smiled slightly. "We've been watching the galaxy for a long time, Commander. We saw how stronger civilizations often treated weaker ones. We decided to hide our true capabilities until we understood the political landscape." "And now?" asked Vax. "Now we're ready to take our place in galactic society," Kim replied. "But as equals, not as a resource to be exploited." Over the next few hours, the humans showed their true power, not just in weapons, but in all areas of technology. Ambassador Ju led Cruel and the other Talic to a hidden underground city where millions of humans lived with technology far beyond what the aliens had seen. "This is just one of 30 such cities on Earth," Ju explained. "We moved much of our civilization underground 300 years ago to hide our energy signatures from space observers." Cruel looked at the vast city with wide eyes. "Your people have been playing a very long game." "We had to," Ju said. "The galaxy can be a dangerous place for those who appear weak." Meanwhile, Admiral Park led General Han on a tour of Earth's flagship, the Hidden Dawn. It was the size of a small moon and had been cloaked in orbit around Saturn. This ship could destroy an entire fleet by itself, Park explained as they walked through the massive control room. "Will we need to use it?" Han asked. Park shook her head. "I don't think so. The Talic have stood down their weapons. Their commander Vax has requested an emergency meeting with their supreme leader." "Good," Han said. Director Kim never wanted war. He just wanted respect. 3 days later, leaders from both sides met on the neutral ground of Earth's moon base. The Talic supreme leader came in person, something that had never happened before with a newly contacted world. "Earth has changed everything," the supreme leader said, looking at Kim across the table. "The old ways of the Confederation must change too." Kim nodded. "We